The distress beacon pulsed through the void like a dying heartbeat. Captain Elias Chen shouldn't have answered it. The outer veil was a graveyard where good intentions went to die. But the signal was weak, desperate, and something in its rhythm reminded him of screams he'd spent a decade trying to forget. He adjusted course. When his sensors locked onto the source, his blood went cold. Debris. Thousands of fragments spinning in the dark hull plating, escape pods torn open, bodies frozen mid-flight. And in the center, one pod intact, its beacon still crying into the silence. Elias was a ghost in his own life. 10 years hauling cargo through frontier space, 10 years running from the memory of his crew dying while he lived. He'd sworn never to take passengers again, never to let anyone close enough to lose. But when he pried open that pod and saw her a Velaran, her iridescent skin dulled to ash gray, her six-fingered hands trembling, he couldn't leave. She wouldn't speak. Wouldn't eat. Just stared through the viewport at stars that no longer belonged to her people. The broadcast came in fragments over the next day. The Velaran Empire, 3,000 years of art and philosophy, had been annihilated in 72 hours. The Krell Swarm, a hive intelligence that devoured civilizations like locusts through wheat, had left nothing. No worlds, no fleets, no survivors. Except her. Elias watched her curl into herself in the corner of his cargo hold and recognized the shape of that grief. He'd worn it himself. He decided then he'd get her somewhere safe, even if it meant delaying every contract, burning every bridge. She deserved that much. They all did. 3 days out from the nearest coalition station, his proximity alarm shrieked. 4 contacts closing fast. Krell hunters sleek and chitinous, built for one purpose, finishing what the swarm started. They'd tracked her biometric signature across half the sector. Elias threw his freighter into evasive maneuvers, but the old girl was never meant for this. The Krell matched him turn for turn, and then they breached. The hull screamed as plasma torches carved through steel. Elias sealed the Velaran in the cockpit, pressed a plasma cutter into his hands, and locked eyes with her through the monitor. "Stay here," he ordered. She stared back, and for the first time, he saw something flicker beneath the numbness. Recognition. This human stranger was choosing to die for her, just like her people had died for each other. The cargo bay became a slaughterhouse. Elias moved like a man possessed, using every dirty trick from his military days: explosive decompression through maintenance hatches, makeshift grenades from fuel cells, close quarters brutality in corridors too narrow for the Krell's advantage. He killed 3. But there were more. Always more. They cornered him in the bay, chittering in their hive language, and the Alpha moved in a creature twice his size, mandibles dripping with acid. Elias was bleeding, his vision tunneling. This was it. The debt finally called due. Then the cockpit door opened. The Velaran stepped into the corridor. Elias screamed at her to run, but she didn't. She opened her mouth and sang. The sound was impossible, a deep resonant frequency that vibrated through the hull, through bone, through the Krell themselves. An ancient war chant, forbidden since the Velaran Empire chose pacifism over conquest. The Krell froze, their compound eyes flickering with something like confusion. But it wasn't enough. Elias saw the Alpha recover, saw it turn toward her, and something primal ignited in his chest. He roared, not words. Just sound raw, human, defiant. The noise of a species that had clawed its way up from caves and refused to go quietly into any night. He charged the Alpha with the plasma cutter screaming in his hand, drove it back step by step, and slammed it into the airlock. The Velaran song rose higher. Elias hit the emergency release. The Alpha shrieked as vacuum claimed it, and the remaining Krell scattered, retreating into their ship. They fled. For the first time in their hive's memory, they fled from prey. Elias collapsed. Blood pooled beneath him, his vision graying at the edges. The Velaran knelt beside him, her hands delicate, six-fingered pressed against his wounds. She spoke. Her voice was fractured crystal, but clear. "Thank you." In flawless human standard. Then softer, "I am Siyara, Crown Princess of Velaran." The last. She'd been carrying her empire's memory archives when the Krell found her convoy. She'd chosen silence because she believed her voice had doomed her people. But this human's choice reminded her that survival wasn't surrender. It was defiance. She worked quickly. Using his ship's medical bay with precision that surprised him, the Velarans had studied humanity for decades, fascinated by their resilience. As consciousness slipped away, he heard her promise, "I will rebuild, and humanity will be remembered." He woke weeks later in a coalition medical station. Siyara was gone, but she'd left a message and a star metal pendant bearing her royal sigil. She joined the Refugee Council, rallying survivors of 100 dead worlds. Her final words echoed in his mind. "You showed me that protecting the broken isn't weakness. It's the highest form of strength." Elias smiled, pocketed the pendant, and plotted a course back into the Veil. There were more signals out there. More survivors. Humanity doesn't abandon the lost, we become their last, best hope.